Welcome, Sabeeha, to this video recording. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Sabeeha Malek. I'm a third-year PhD researcher on the Midlands Integrative Bioscience Training Partnership at the University of Warwick. I'm based in the Centre for Mechanochemical Cell Biology, and I'm studying a condition called Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, or EDS. I have EDS myself, and that puts me in quite a unique position of being a patient researcher.
Thank you, Sabeeha. Can you explain a bit more about your research area?
Yeah, so I'm studying EDS, and that's a poorly understood and under-recognized connective tissue disorder. It involves the faulty production of collagen, and that causes connective tissue like the tendons and ligaments to become weak. This can cause a wide variety of symptoms, but it's typically associated with joint instability, chronic muscle injuries, chronic fatigue and pain, and gastrointestinal issues. So the severity of EDS can vary greatly, and it ranges from people who are bedbound to those who have relatively no symptoms at all. But one of the most puzzling findings from EDS research is that the degree of collagen defects that we sort of analyze under the microscope, they don't usually match the severity of the illness that the patient has. So because of this, we don't really understand the mechanism behind how EDS causes disease, and we also don't know how to treat it. So EDS remains somewhat of a medical mystery, and it's one of the few remaining diseases in the 21st century without a biomarker. So not many people are aware of this, but I also have EDS myself. I was diagnosed in 2017 after several years of symptoms. Getting my diagnosis was really important because it helped me manage my condition, and I was able to go on to do my master's degree. It was during my master's degree that I had the opportunity to write a paper on EDS, and I later published this work. And the work involved reviewing the diagnostic criteria for EDS, and I was able to show that it lacked the necessary evidence needed to rule out a diagnosis of EDS. This whole topic was really important to me because I wanted to make sure that other patients weren't sort of denied the same diagnosis that helped me a lot. So my hope with this paper is that it will give clinicians a better understanding of the criteria and when it should or should not be used to exclude a diagnosis of EDS.
Thank you, Sabeeha. Could you tell us a little bit more about the work you're currently doing on your PhD?
Yeah, so not long after my master's, I approached my supervisor, Dr. Costa, and he specializes in the study of cell mechanics and membrane biophysics. So I asked him if we could study these sort of aspects in the context of EDS, and he agreed. So this was really exciting because it was the start of an entirely new and novel area of EDS research, and it had a lot of potential. But because of the pandemic, I was forced to start with literature-based research. But I think this sort of worked out for the better because all my reading led to some discovery of some very old mechanical experiments on EDS cells. And I was able to use this evidence to formulate a scientifically plausible mechanism of disease for EDS. And it identified a potential biomarker as well for EDS. And this was sort of a really great achievement because this was something I was hoping to achieve near the end of my career. So I also managed to publish this work, and it was my second first author paper by the end of my first year of my PhD. So now I'm sort of working in the lab, trying to develop the experimental methods needed to test all the hypotheses that were raised in my paper, and hopefully we'll be able to confirm them. So, my story is unique, but I also think it's a really powerful example of what diversity in research can achieve. So those sort of unique experiences then motivated me to address those important aspects of science and healthcare. And one of the reasons I've achieved these things is because I had the privilege of being supported in doing all this. And if I hadn't received that support, I sort of wonder how much longer it would have taken for another researcher to come along and connect the dots and, study cell mechanics in EDS. Because this in turn has opened up a whole sort of multitude of diagnostic and therapeutic avenues for EDS patients.
Thank you, Sabeeha, for elaborating on your current research. So, did the medical world use your evidence from your master's so far to kind of change the diagnostic?
Yes, to some degree. So clinicians have reached out to me and they've said, the paper helped them understand the criteria and the way the condition can, present in clinic. Patients have also, told me that they've given my paper to their doctors to help educate them and, better spot EDS in future patients. But my biggest hope is that the international consortium of the Ehlers-Danlos Society, who are currently reviewing the official diagnostic criteria and are sort of planning to possibly change it in the future. I'm hoping they will see my paper and take the evidence on board and make some appropriate updates to the criteria based on it.
So fingers crossed there. Overall, what are you currently celebrating?
I want to celebrate what I hope will be the new normal. So I want patients to feel empowered to research their own condition and be supported by institutions and wider society to do this. I also want women of colour to be visibly recognised and respected as pioneers within STEM fields. I know I'm not the first to be here and I'm not going to be the last, but I want there to be as many as possible. And so I think it's important to emphasise that yes, representation is an important fight for equality, but it also has wider benefits for society. It translates into advances in STEM, advances in arts, politics, and other fields. So I hope by sharing my experiences and my work here, it will help to highlight the importance of supporting diversity and what that can achieve.
Thank you so much, Sabeeha Malek. Until next time, it's been Teeroumanee Nadan with Celebrating Small Steps in Achieve.